All right, so we're diving deep today into a pretty fascinating event in the space industry.
Oh, yeah. It's a big one.
It is. India just launched its GSAT-20 satellite.
Yep.
And what makes this really interesting is that they decided to go with SpaceX for the launch.
Which, on the surface, it might seem a little unusual.
Right.
I mean, India, they've got their own space program, ISRO.
Exactly. A pretty impressive one, too. They've had some major successes.
Yeah.
And they're definitely looking to make their mark in the space race.
Absolutely.
So the fact that they chose to partner with Elon Musk and SpaceX for this particular launch, that tells you something.
It really does. I think it says a lot about how the whole space game is changing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not just about national agencies anymore like it used to be.
Right.
We're seeing more and more collaboration between governments and private companies.
Yeah.
Everyone's starting to realize that, hey, there are real advantages to working together, pooling resources, sharing expertise.
You know, at this launch, it's like a perfect example of that. You've got India's ambition to become a major player in space. Mm-hmm. But then you've also got the innovation that a company like SpaceX brings to the table.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's break it down a bit. Let's talk about GSAT-20 itself. I mean, what's it all about?
Well, in a nutshell, it's all about boosting India's communication infrastructure.
Okay.
Think internet connectivity, but on a whole other level, especially for those in remote areas. We're talking about connecting remote villages, maybe in like the Himalayas even, to high-speed internet.
Wow.
I mean, the impact of that is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you suddenly give all those people access to education,
Healthcare,
job opportunities, it's a game changer for India's digital landscape.
So what's the secret sauce here? What makes GSAT-20 so powerful?
It's all about the technology. They're using what's called a Ka-band. It's a high-throughput communication system. Cutting-edge stuff.
Okay, I got to be honest. I'm not super techie. What's so special about this Ka-band thing?
Think of it this way. The current satellite internet speeds in those remote areas, it's kind of like dial-up, right?
Oh, man. I remember dial-up.
Yeah, painfully slow. But GSAT-20, we're talking broadband speeds. Ka-band allows for way faster data transmission compared to the older bands.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Plus, it's got these dedicated beams for airlines,
Wow.
which means in-flight internet in India. It's about to get a serious upgrade, faster speeds, better reliability, huge for business travelers, and tourism.
That's amazing. And here's the question I keep coming back to. Why SpaceX? I mean, India has ISRO. Why not use their own rockets?
Good question. Here's the thing. India's current launch vehicles, like the GSLV, they're great, don't get me wrong, but they're not quite ready to handle a satellite as heavy as GSAT-20, not yet anyway.
I see.
SpaceX's Falcon 9, on the other hand, it's a workhorse in the heavy lift category. Proven track record.
Yeah.
Reliable. And to be honest, pretty cost-effective.
Costs, that's always a factor, isn't it?
Yeah, always. Especially for a massive project like this.
Okay, but here's a thought, and maybe I'm wrong. But isn't there a risk in relying so heavily on a company like SpaceX? I mean, for ISRO, what if it hinders their own development goals?
That's a really good point. It's a valid concern. There's always that risk, right, of becoming too reliant on someone else. But there's another way to look at this. What if, for ISRO, this is a strategic move?
Okay, I'm listening.
They're taking advantage of SpaceX's current capabilities. It lets them kind of free up their own resources, focus on developing more advanced technologies for the future. Things like, interplanetary exploration,
Right.
or even human spaceflight. Areas where ISRO has some really ambitious plans.
That's a good point. So it's like, instead of trying to compete with SpaceX in the commercial launch market right now, ISRO can sort of leapfrog ahead, focus on the really big stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's about playing the long game. And it's not just about technology either. This partnership with SpaceX, it raises India's profile in the global space community.
Right.
It attracts attention, potential collaborations, investment in their space sector.
So this launch, it's like a stepping stone for bigger and better things.
It is. It really is.
It's interesting to think about this whole thing in a bigger context. It's not just about one satellite. It's about a shift in the global space landscape.
Absolutely.
This kind of feels like, a commercial space race.
It does, doesn't it?
And SpaceX is right there in the lead.
Oh, yeah. SpaceX, they're playing to win. And partnering with India, a nation with huge space ambitions, that's a strategic win for them. It strengthens their reputation, shows everyone what they can do, attracts other clients. They're solidifying their position in the commercial space sector.
So everyone benefits. India gets its satellite into orbit. SpaceX gets to flex its muscles on the world stage.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
But here's what I really want to know. What does all this mean for the future of space exploration?
Well, I think we're seeing the beginning of a new era. One where international cooperation and private enterprise are really the driving forces. Space, it's not just for governments anymore.
Right.
Private companies like SpaceX, they're lowering the barriers to entry, making it possible for more countries, even private organizations, to get involved in space, to use it for research, for communication, even for things like resource utilization. The possibilities are endless.
It's pretty amazing to think about. This partnership is just one example of all the cool things that are happening in space right now. And it definitely gives us a lot to think about. What's next for space exploration? How will these international collaborations shape the future? How will private companies change the game?
It's an exciting time to be watching.
It really is. And it's only going to get more interesting from here. So much to ponder. All right. Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep looking up.
Keep looking up.